Hope for almost 16 years. And I have watched Flashes of Hope grow and go through many changes, especially after COVID. So we will get to that shortly in the little slides that I prepared. Okay, so here we go. All right. Here we go. So Flashes of Hope is a program of Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, and we provide childhood cancer families with free photography sessions in local hospitals and at special events across the country. We have award-winning photographers, the best photographers, commercial professional photographers volunteer their time as just a gift to these families, and they capture these beautiful black and white portraits, and they preserve courage, beauty, dignity of these children going through a very difficult time of their lives. But they end up to be uplifting portraits and something that become keepsakes for the families to honor the children and also, showcase their bravery and what they've been going through in the journey. And so maybe later they look back and they say, wow, I beat that. That was me. And then, for unfortunately the families that their child doesn't survive, they have this beautiful image of their child or photos to remember them by. So it was founded in 2001 by Allison Clark and her husband Kip when their son Quinn was diagnosed. He had rhabdomyosarcoma, and he was treated at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospitals in Cleveland. And she was in the playroom, and one of her son's buddies passed away, and she wondered if his family had a photo of him. And that's when she went back to the hospital room, and she came up with a whole idea for Flashes of Hope. And 3 weeks later, she had the very first photo shoot at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospitals by getting a volunteer photographer in and figuring out the way to make this possible. And from there, she realized that when the families were in the hospital, they didn't feel so pretty after they'd been sitting there for 3 weeks without a shower. And so she figured out how to get a stylist and hair and makeup artist to come in and do light touch-ups so they felt a little bit more camera ready. The reason that the photos are black and white is it also helps to maybe not showcase if the child's skin tone isn't looking, exactly the healthiest at the moment. And it just takes away some of the harshness and lets you focus on the soul of the situation in the child and just feature, this beautiful child. So since that happened at Rainbow Babies, we've partnered with over 80 different children's hospitals across the country and dozens of summer camps. And I've been to so many, and it's been the highlight of my Flashes of Hope journey. And we have given photo packages to over 87,000 families across the country since 2001. It's a lot of kids, a lot of families. So in 2021, Flashes of Hope became a program of Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. And we are honored to be a part of the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation family under the Family Services Division with Travel for Care and Super SIBS programs. I am just blown away by how committed they are to the program and to sustaining it in the long-term future. I feel, like I said, very fortunate to be able to be a part of that family. And Flashes of Hope, when COVID hit, just like you all, really struggled. We could not get into the hospitals. Our program really was shut down because you can't get into the hospitals to photograph kids. And so the decision was made to merge under Alex's. And that's how we find ourselves in the position that we are today. And I think it's a wonderful position to be in. All right, so traditionally, Flashes of Hope goes into the hospitals every month, and the photographers bring equipment and set up basically a photo studio within a hospital environment. It could be in a hallway, it could be in a tiny little playroom, it could be in a conference room, and families come in one by one and they have these beautiful photos taken, and it creates this distraction for them. So during this horrible hospital stay, they get to have this moment just to them, feel special, and then they get these beautiful photo packages delivered to them. So the organization is structured with volunteers across the country. So we have chapters, and they are led by volunteer chapter directors. And then they come back and they work with the national office, that's me. And then I support them with all the different marketing materials they need, or help finding volunteers, or any of the resources that it takes to run the program. The business part of Flashes of Hope is now under Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, which makes it much easier from that perspective. Just focus on the families and the gift and the experience and what we can do to really serve families in the best possible way. So our commercial photographers are volunteers. They're all the very best photographers across the country. They know how to bring the proper equipment. They know how to work with lighting, and you know that you're going to get the files back from them, that they are professionals in this. So other people might be talented photographers, but these people that volunteer are dedicated to give their talents over to these very deserving and special families. So their work appears all over the place. They're in museums, they're in ads. Our Philadelphia chapter director is a favorite photographer of Heidi Klum. So he has gone to like Europe's Next Top Model and photographed for her. And he's been on the panel. And I was like, how did we get so lucky to have this very talented photographer be as committed as he is, not just to photographing families, but also lead the Philadelphia chapter. So our chapter directors and our volunteers and our photographers, I feel very privileged to be around them and feel so fortunate that they are donating all of this to serve these very special families. All right, so where's my mouse? There we are. Oops, hang on. There we go. So this is what the families receive. So they receive, and it's all free. All of this for flashes is just meant as a gift to the family. So the families receive a print photo package that includes 2 8x10 prints, 5x7s of all of the prints, and then there's this digital gallery where they can download all of the files. So the images can be shared on social media. They can give extra prints to their family members. They can share their story. It used to be Caring Bridge. That was a while ago. They used to be able to put on Caring Bridge, but now they use social media to share what's happening sometimes in their treatment journey with people. So these are meant as a gift. The images are held in a jointly shared copyright agreement. So Flashes of Hope owns a third. The families all own a third, and the photographer owns a third. So what that means is that no image can ever be sold without the permission of the other parties. So you won't see a Flashes of Hope image on a billboard, and you won't see it showing up on, some unauthorized use unless the family gives permission and the photographer gives permission to use the images. And that way we can ensure that the intent of the photos is for the families. So sometimes though, if a family's having a fundraiser or they're like, hey, can I use this image? Of course, we'll let them use the image for that. This is really just to prevent and to protect the archive of all of those kids' images. All right, so an amazing thing happened in 2007. The Phoenix chapter went to Camp Rainbow with 4 volunteer photographers, and they used only natural light and the beautiful camp setting, and they photographed 100 campers in one day. And that was the very first Flashes of Hope camp shoot. And that's how the camp experience started. And we realized at that moment, where normally in a hospital shoot, maybe we could photograph 10 children, 10 families, maybe 20 in a big hospital like Atlanta. But this gave us an opportunity to go to places where we didn't necessarily have a partnership with a hospital or a big hospital and reach more children. So once we started doing that, we were really able to increase the numbers that we were photographing. And sometimes we would photograph a child that had been photographed in the hospital, but the camp photos were completely different. We heard back from families, it's so hard to send any child to camp. It's even more difficult when you send a child to camp that has a serious illness. And when we got the photos back, we saw in our child's eyes how happy they were at camp. So the camp photos have gone on to become another special capturing a moment that like was part of their journey, but also was completely different and a beautiful image of their child. So I'm going to go on to tell you where we photograph kids, how we do it at camps, and what it looks like. So these are some, I'm going to sprinkle in through this, some behind the scenes sort of images, and then what the camp photos also look like. Maybe some of you guys are going to recognize some of those backdrops of those camps. So I've been to quite a few of them. Like I said, I've been honored. I was much younger when we met. Shh, don't say anything, but yes, I was. Okay, so, all right. So some things about a camp shoot. So to prepare for a Flash shoot at camp, every camper needs a sign release. This is the same as it is in the hospitals as well. So this is how the copyright agreement comes together. The photographer signs a copyright agreement or a photo release, and so does every child that's photographed. And so we need this before we can go. So when we talk about camps, Not every camp has the same situation, and we completely respect that and appreciate that. So when Flashes of Hope works with you and we figure out that, yes, this is, we can make a camp shoot work, then we work to see how it best fits with your system. I'm guessing a lot of you use digital releases. So we can transfer the Flash Hope copyright agreement into your package of documents that you have your family sign. Sometimes releases are signed when the child gets dropped off. We can do that too. So it's not necessarily going to be a one size fits all. It's what's going to be best and easiest for you, because we understand you are serving a lot of campers at one time and your system comes first. So if we can make it easy, we're going to make it easy for you. So we just need a signed photo release, and that includes fields that have their shipping address, not a PO box, but a shipping address and an email address. And why we need those is because the photo packages are shipped directly back to your families. And that prevents you from having to figure out how to ship a package to your campers when you have more campers coming in. So we don't want to burden you with more work. So what we need to do is to ship them right to your families. And that's what we do for our hospitalized children as well. And we are very aware of confidentiality. So we do not sell the list of the addresses, the contact information. This is only to get the packages to them, and same with the email address. So what the email address does is it gives us the ability to email them a link to digitally download all the files, which is extremely important. I'm a photographer by training, even though I'm now wearing many, many hats. And I understand that for me, like, I love a digital print, but the first immediate gratification point usually comes from the digital photos and how they can be shared. And particularly for some of the teens, they want to be able to share the photos and show, and it's easier then to pass them around. But the lasting gift though are the prints. And I also do know that those are very valued by the families. Sometimes digital files can be lost. We can easily recreate a gallery or share the gallery again with the family, so that your campers aren't coming back to you and going, oh, I was photographed in 2011. Do you know how I can get those photos? We constantly are sending out new links to families in the case of a child passing away and they would like access to the photos. We have the archive going all the way back to the very first child that was photographed. And we take the archive storage extremely seriously. Okay, so we're going to ship the packages, and they're going to get the digital release. And so that's the gift that they get, is this black and white photo package. Okay, all right. So here's a lovely, where do you think they are? They're in the wood shop. This is a family weekend, right? All right. And then this is really what it would look like when you have a photographer out in the field taking a photo of a child. And I'll explain how we try to not interrupt your camp and how we try to get in and out and make sure that your programming is the priority, and that the children and the teens, when they're photographed, it's just a small portion of their morning or whatever time works for you, so that we're in and out of there quickly, but capturing everybody. So this is a typical group at a large camp. That's a lot of volunteers coming in. And I'm guessing this probably was a camp that might have been in Chicago. So they would go in with a large group because it takes a lot of photographers to photograph a whole large group of campers in one morning, and everybody has an assistant. So, okay, so this is how we do it. So the photo shoots are supposed to be fun. Camp is fun. We're not there to stress you out. We're not there to stress your kids out. We're there to blend into the camp environment. So we bring all the volunteers needed so that we can shoot in about a half a day. And then we typically set up in many locations around the camp. What we usually do is say the camp week, if it's a whole week, your campers might arrive on a Sunday. Monday, you're getting them into the routine. Usually Tuesdays or Wednesdays could be a great day to have a photo shoot, because by the time you get to Friday, you really want to have them bonded and on their way back home. And we don't want to interrupt any of that. So what we do is we work with the best day for you. And so say it was a week shoot, it was a week-long camp. We would come in on like a Tuesday morning. We would arrive at like 8 when everybody's having breakfast. We would need one point person, which I'll get to. And then we would set up where their morning activities would be. So if you have 20 kids at arts and craft and you have 20 at archery, or if you have 6 doing an activity, we would put photographers close to where they were, especially, in locations where it's easy to have them pause and then come out to have their photo taken, and then resume activities. We normally would not photograph at the swimming pool. I don't think any photographer wants to see, or any family really wants a photo of their child after they've been in the pool. So we want to make sure that they're going to get a gift of their child that they look at and they're like, oh, what, that makes me happy seeing that. Yes, we end up photographing kids with face paint. Yes, we end up photographing kids with like sticky green stuff in their hair. Yes, it happens. Yes, the kids are happy. And that's a wonderful thing. So if that makes everybody happy, we're not going to say, well, we don't think really that's a good idea. We're going to go with what you want and what your campers and your families want. We're not there to tell you your job. We're there to capture the photos of the families. So if a camper is like, I am not doing that, and that the family signed the release, and those parents really would like that photo taken, there is no pressure for that child to be photographed. We're not there to make anybody uncomfortable. And also we respect the campers, and we know that some of them have physical limitations. So we're not going to say, can you sit down on the ground? Can you roll over on your stomach? We know that some of them might be sensitive about their appearance. We're not going to, no photographer. All of our photographers are trained in how to interact with the campers. And so we're there to capture them. So our photographers and volunteers do get that camper instruction on how to not ask, so how are you feeling? Or, any of that. It's the same in the hospital. You don't want to just sort of get into that interaction with a child. You're there to make them happy and the family happy and have a great experience. And that's it. Okay. So you can see this one. This was up at Hole in the Wall Gang Camp in Connecticut. And you can see, so we have an assistant standing there. And so the assistants are used to help sort of like take a camper, in to say, oh, hey, photographer, whatever his name is, this is so-and-so. And then, hi, a little, maybe an exchange, and, okay. So the campers are photographed usually in about 10 minutes. More than that, I don't know any camper that's going to be like, sure, let's have some more. If a teen wants some more, great, no problem. But most of them are like, let's go. It's different than when the parents are there. If the parents are there, there's groupings, and we can get these special shoots. There's groupings, and usually, I'm not saying moms have ideas on what they want to see out of a family portrait, but sometimes they do. So when it's the camper alone, we're there to honor the camper in their camp moment and capture them, and then, return them back to their activities. So this one was definitely from a family camp weekend. You can just see like how much everybody was having a great time there. All right, so right behind the photographer, there's an assistant. The assistant has a clipboard. They work with you to make sure that there's groups of kids that are going to be photographed. And we respect the fact that you don't want to give over your camper list, but sometimes if you can help us with like, okay, here's the 10 kids that are in this area, and then work with your counselors to say, oh, we need Jennifer, we need Joey, come on out. And then our assistant can help guide them and then take them back to your counselors, so that we're not in and out of your activities. So this was right by Arts and Crafts at Victory Junction. All right, so we bring teams of volunteers and photographers into the camp. We wait until you say, okay, let's put you over here. Let's put you over here. Here's the ropes course. Here's wood shop. Here's theater. We work with you where your kids are going to be to go to that area and stay in that area. We know that some of the areas have, particularly important activities happening where it's more bonding. So, we won't go there. We'll figure out how to photograph if there's a group there during, right before lunch, then we'll wait and maybe we'll catch them on the way out of lunch or something like that. But normally it would be between breakfast and lunchtime, and then we wrap up and then we leave, so that we're not taking any more time from you or from your programming. So normally a photographer can shoot about 15 campers. And the reason that we don't do more than that is there's a lot of back end work that takes to take all of those files that they capture, turn them into black and white, and then also to prep them by 8x10s and 5x7s. And sometimes they'll do more retouching. And if you do more than that, sometimes it can become a lot of work, and we don't want to stress our volunteers out too much so that they want to come back and do it. One of our amazing volunteer photographers from Connecticut, Hole in the Wall, He had such a meaningful experience there. He's gone on to be the only photographer that does the shoots at Connecticut Children's. And he's created such a great relationship with the hospital staff there. They've given him his own name. For some reason, it's called Flash. Kind of makes me laugh because he's more like the sloth in, oh, what's the movie with Judy Hopps? He's more like the sloth than the Flash, which is so funny that they call him Flash. But anyway, great guy. And in his soul, how important these kids are. So just have so much respect for all of them. All right. So let's see. And then your camp person. So before a camp date is selected, what we do is we look at your schedule. You pick, like, this is a great week. This is the day. This is the time that would work. And we need some advance warning, as you can guess, because we do have to get a lot of volunteers. And volunteers these days are less easy to get than they used to be. So we're sort of ramping back up, assembling our volunteers and recruiting more volunteers. So we do need as much lead time as possible. That will also help you get the camp release, photo release, and all the paperwork established. And hopefully that if you have paper releases, you hand them to us when we're there. And then if not, if they're a digital one, maybe you can even email them ahead of time or whatever works for you. But we always have had a saying, it's like we like to play nice in the sandbox. So we're not there to, sort of ruffle anybody's feathers as well. Okay, so then some photographers travel light. Some of them do have a little bit more equipment, but not a ton. But if it's down by like the fishing hole, a golf cart would be a tremendous help to get our volunteer with their equipment down to the fishing hole and then back to the car. So a golf cart or a little bit of transportation at the right time would be perfect. But other than that, we're really pretty self-sufficient. We're not going to come running every time someone has a question. We stay in our area, photograph the kids, and all of our photographers know, like, it's in and out and done. And they're professionals, so that's really what they know how to do. Although I did have a photographer one time ask me for some refreshments. Did he have anything to drink? I literally went into a dining hall, and those like blue beverage things that come in like the plastic barrels. It was like the only thing I could find. This guy was from New York City, and I handed him a plastic barrel, like unapologetically, because I was like, well, you're at camp. Like, what are you expecting? I was, what, he came back many times after that. And I think he brought his own water. So no harm, no foul there. Welcome to camp. By the way, your camp songs, they fill my heart with joy. I love being around the singing. Okay. All right. Next. All right. Love her. Sweetie pies. All right. This one was at Boggy Creek. It was a family camp weekend. As you could tell, it was pajama theme day. I'm not sure how excited they are to have the pajama theme photos forever, but that was pajama theme. And you can see again, assistant and photographer. And this one was where I learned about fire ants. I didn't know that those existed, and have since learned you don't, wow. Yeah, so don't seat people because there's fire ants. I learned about rattlesnakes at a camp, Camp Ronald McDonald for Good Times. I believe I was told, so when you see a rattlesnake, and I was like, when, not if, and they're like, oh yeah, they're over there, don't go over there. They're under there. And then also, yeah, spiders, all kinds of wonderful things here. So anyway, just another example of what we learned as far as putting families in different situations and getting beautiful portraits. Okay, so another thing you can do for families is you can do these family retreat weekends or special events. And those might actually be easier during all the COVID, when you have families more in like congregate groups together, and it takes fewer photographers and they get beautiful family portraits. Or if you have special events and we just need, we're going to have, this holiday party, or we're going to have this moment, or we're going to have this back to school event. And you say, hey, is there a way that we could have a Flashes of Hope shoot? It's a perfect opportunity to do a special event shoot there and photograph families or teens. We did a teen week at a camp a couple weeks ago, and those are also really special. The thing that we wanted to be very, very clear about is that we are very aware of COVID protocols. Flashes of Hope does require our volunteers to be vaccinated. They understand that they will be wearing a mask, and we abide by any regulations or requirements requested by the camp. Many of our camps are run by hospitals, and absolutely, we will do whatever we have to do to keep our kids and your campers safe. It's our first priority. And if it's not safe to photograph them, there's no problem. If it's like something changes and it's like, okay, things need to change, we are very, very respectful of that. And all of our photographers and volunteers have come to help Flashes of Hope and honor these children. And they understand that not only, is this a difficult time, but these are immune compromised children. And so you won't ever get any pushback from us on that. I wonder where that child was treated. Anybody know? This one was out in Seattle. All right, I talk really fast. Did you know my sister's a speech pathologist and she says I talk fast and she talks fast? All right. Okay, so that was really fast, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if you have any questions. All right, Ryan, are you going to let me read the chat now? Or are you going to read it?
So we didn't get any questions in the chat.
Going to Hawaii, that would be amazing. So the way that could work is that there are professional photography organizations that we partner with, that we know that they're the best and most qualified photographers. And what I can do is I can look to see, is there a chapter in Hawaii, and to figure out where you're located and if perhaps and how many campers you have. The thing that I would need from you is probably to provide the volunteers to assist with the photographers. And what we have is like shoot logs. So when a photographer photographs somebody, we write the child's name down on the shoot log. And then here's the genius thing that we learned after we photographed a lot of children and then went back and couldn't really figure out who they were in the photo, is each child holds a whiteboard with their name on it. And that's recorded with the photos, so that when the photographer submits the images, we know, oh, that's Joey. That's not Danny, because they're both bald and they both look the same. And so we used to write descriptions. So the whiteboard images and then the shoot logs. But I would be very happy to look into seeing what we could do to help you out. Where are you located?
On Oahu, in Honolulu, but the camp is up on the North Shore.
Okay, but there are photographers there as well. So I would be very happy to look into that for you. Okay. Very cool. I'm up for challenges. I'm still doing this after 16 years. Okay, great. That's interesting. Okay. I would love to be there in person.
That's what I was going to say, Lisa. I figured you'd want to go yourself and take the pictures, because she's a photographer too, Diane.
I know, I am. And oh, wow. Well, I would be delighted to do that. But having, the responsibility of working for a nonprofit, I think we all know how that goes. You got to figure out how to do it with what you got. So, but yeah, I would love to see if I could figure that out for you. And what's the name of your camp?
For me?
Yeah, what's the name of your camp?
Camp Nui Nui.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Okay. Are you year round?
No, it's only 1 week in the summer.
Oh, that's helpful. Okay, good. Sometimes camps have multiple weeks that they request us to photograph their campers. We do try to be aligned with pediatric cancer, but sometimes there's crossover weeks within the weeks. And so Flashes of Hope our philosophy always was to photograph any child with cancer and a life-limiting illness, not to be exclusive, because some of the kids get the exact same treatments as cancer patients. And so we photograph anyone. And Alex's Lemonade Stand, even though they're centered on pediatric cancer, they understand that we don't, as an organization, want to look like we are not inclusive. And so after campers are photographed and kids in the hospital, when they receive their Flashes of Hope images and the link, they get a little email that says, "Are you a cancer family? Would you like more information about services offered by Alex's Lemonade Stand?" And then that's how they can sort of sort out, like, is there a way to help more families that are cancer related families? So, but okay, Camp Nui Nui. All right, you're on my list. Any other questions?
Well, aloha, Diane. Hilo, Hawaii was my port of entry when I sailed from New Zealand. And, but the immigration officer forgot to stamp my passport. He did come down with a 6-pack of beer.
Could have been a fair trade.
I used to live in Ala Moana Yacht Harbor, and I was in the first all-women's international ocean racing team in 1980, Pan Am Clipper Cup.
Ooh,
I'm in awe.
me too.
Now I just live in Arizona and shoot things. Well, a lot of camp seems to be involved in shooting sports. I've got my own theory on the disempowered and why they love shooting so much, but I don't want to get too into politics. So do you have anyone in Tucson, Arizona?
We have a Phoenix chapter, and I think that some of our chapter directors might be close enough to extend over to Tucson, because it was our Los Angeles chapter that went to Palm Desert to photograph Camp Ronald McDonald for Good Times. So usually if we have a camp, we do the recruiting and we do pull from local. And because it's outdoor, we can use a lot of different photographers, because outdoor photography is easier than studio photography. So there's a lot of very talented natural light photographers that do events that we could have probably pull from your area. I also know that the professional photography groups in your area are strong. So I'm also very happy to look at Tucson. And do you work with, what's Beads of Courage? Are they still in Tucson?
Yeah, Beads of Courage are in Tucson. So I'm with Candlelighters Childhood Cancer Foundation.
You're a Candlelighters.
I'm Candlelighters, yeah.
Candlelighters.
Jeez, I've been involved with Candlelighters since 1991. I went to some of the original meetings in DC and the White House, etc.
Thank you for your work. Yeah, we work with Candlelighters in DC. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, all right, great. Okay.
So do you work with Camp Sunrise and Sidekicks in Phoenix?
Sunrise, yes, absolutely. Sunrise. Sidekicks, not yet.
Oh, well, Camp Sunrise, I think that was the name of the American Cancer Society camps right across the country. So they kept that name in Phoenix. I think other camps use that name elsewhere, but that was their origin until they got unloaded. And so, yeah, it's the same. I think they got a new umbrella name, Southwest Kids Cancer, something or other.
Okay.
But we always know them as Sunrise and Sidekicks. So Sunrise campers are the diagnosed child. Sidekicks are obviously the siblings.
Gotcha. So sibling camp is coming up as a pretty hot topic, because Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation has a whole program called Super Sibs. And so they're very supportive of siblings going through, the simultaneous journey and what that means for them and what it does to them. And so we're happy to photograph siblings at camp, and we're currently in the process trying to figure out, does it work to do sibling only camps? So that's something that we're going to look into, or, does it become too difficult, because we're probably a little shy on volunteers right now. So,
oh yeah. Well, both of my daughters got a Super Sibs college grant. Amy did, I don't know, she got a $5,000 grant from you guys.
That's so
way
cool.
Back when. Yeah.
Wow. That's
and
wonderful.
Then my other daughter, I think, got $1,000 a few years later. But I think they went to a meeting in Chicago, maybe, that you have for those kids.
I have to figure out what year Super Sibs merged under Alex's Lemonade Stand, because it's the same journey that Flashes of Hope took to get underneath. Yeah. But the Candlelighters organization across the country nationally is really like such a wonderful group that does so much important work. So if you have events that are coming up and you would like to set up a special event, shoot my Phoenix chapter.
Shoot, we just did a prom for the teens 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh shoot. Okay. So maybe next year think about us for your calendar.
Yeah, we do one every year. So
great. That is great. Did it go well?
Hell yeah.
Man, I like you. I like all of you, by the way, but you're my cup of tea.
80 teens is like herding cats. They had a
Yes.
blast. I was going crazy, but I don't worry about the small details of life.
Great philosophy. Really appreciate that. That's wonderful. And they had a wonderful night. Oh, thanks for your work. That's great. Does anybody else have any questions that I can answer?
So Lisa, is it okay if after the photo shoot, if the camps reached out to families and said, if anyone's willing to share the photos that you took at camp, and if we could use them for social media, and it comes from the parents, is that okay?
Yeah, I absolutely think that it's because, again, the social media sharing is completely fine. The only thing that we would have to bring in the photographer for would be if you wanted to use it in your marketing materials, if you wanted to use a flashes of image to represent your specific camp organization. So, but as far as social media sharing, absolutely. And what we have done with our hospitals, and I'm happy to do it for you as well, is to make a digital gallery so you get to see the images. So I think that's really like the food for the soul, is to see all your beautiful campers. And so you can go through the gallery, you just are not allowed to download them or to have them and then use them. But screen sharing, I didn't see a thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but so what we're asking though is that we respect the photographers that are donating their time and their talent. So if they were asked to, if you did want to use one of their images, what we would do is go back and then they would be asked if it's okay. And then sometimes they would be offered an image use. Most of the photographers always know that the purpose is to enhance the services for the families, and they donate the images and their time. It's only in the case of, I've seen where a company wanted to use the image for a promotion, or there was a hospital that wanted to do a really large photo gallery, and it ended up to be beautiful, and they did offer to give a small image use fee to the photographers as well. So, but as far as social media sharing, absolutely, it's totally fine to do that. We like it. I mean, it's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
How will you get our contact information? Google will work, but
I think I need to go to Tucson and Honolulu and hang out with both of you ladies. And where's Care Camps located, by the way?
Care Camps is based out of Billings, Montana, but we actually are not a camp. We help fund the camps, the oncology camps. So we help make sure that the kids can go for free. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll still hang out with you too. And Edith, where are you? Edith just put up a question. Hang on. So I will get your contact information from Ryan or Jennifer. Okay. And then I will respond to you tomorrow, promise. Let's see. If a photographer can only take 15 minutes per camper, would you send multiple photographers? Yes, we do. So, and the photographer doesn't have to be rushed. If you have a situation where like, we have way more time and you're not trying to take away from your programming and you want it actually to be an event. And I think in some teen camps, it is actually the evening event. So the teens are able to go and get ready for their photo shoot and take time and change if they want. We can make it part of your programming. So a photographer can spend as much time as possible. But again, if there are 100 kids at camp and a photographer is going to take maybe photograph 15 or 20 kids, we send about 8 photographers in a half day. If you say, oh, you can stay longer, then we may only send 4, or we may send more or less, depending on what works for your camp. It's a situation where, just like in the hospitals, not one solution works for everyone. So we do, especially these days, we've been really creative. We've been doing some outdoor shoots at NIH. I mean, we've been just like meeting families in parking lots. And so, it really, the intention is really to help you, give your families something special, and also to honor the families and kids. And we photographed up at Camp Happy Times in oh, what's the name of Honesdale? It was by Honesdale. And we pulled from local photographers up in like, what is that, Poconos area up there? And we still, the most warm, talented people that I was just blown away, and I had such a great time hanging out with them. And they're really good with kids. The photographers that volunteer, I really find that they understand that they are with kids, they make it fun. I just don't see crabby photographers. It's thankfully, very thankfully. Oh, thank you, Jennifer, for putting that in there. Sunshine in Atlanta. Let's see, bring up my daughter. Okay, great. And I've been, maybe next year we would love that, Edith. We would love that. Atlanta, I think we have been to your camp before. And, you know, even if this is just some thought for next year, I'm all about that too. Okay, so like we're all dealing with this on the fly, right? COVID.
Oh, I don't know. It didn't stop much in Arizona. We just surpassed 30,000 deaths in this state.
Wow.
I think we're second only to New York. Maybe
Oh,
Louisiana.
That's sad. Well, I was really surprised, I will tell you, that our very first hospital came back online, and I thought it was a hospital that we were not going to see for maybe ever, and it was Johns Hopkins. And Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, their infectious disease team worked with the hospital staff to figure out how to be able to safely reintroduce volunteers. So traditionally, Flashes of Hope photo shoot includes stylists and hair and makeup, and obviously they're not coming back for a while. And I don't think the families are upset by that. I think they're just really happy to have the photos, but they really did put protocols in place. And I know a lot of our other hospitals are paying close attention to what's working there. So hopefully, maybe even this summer, even though it's as difficult as it is for all of your camps, maybe everybody's going to learn and, you know, come out with some things to share with each other, so that heaven help us all, if this is here next year, we can try to create experiences for campers that feel like normal, happy, fun childhood experiences. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. All right. Okay. Well,
Do we get to have your information?
Sure. Absolutely. I will send that too. Hang on.
Her email's in the chat there, Beverly. It's l.cencula@alexlemonadestand.org. alexlemonade.org.
Yeah. And the short one is also,
okay.
yeah, the short one's also lisa@flashesofhope.org. But I will see if I can do this. See how savvy or not savvy I am anymore. How many people are just getting happy to resume normal activities?
Heck yeah.
Right?
Well, we had camp last year.
Oh, you did?
Oh, heck yeah. Not slowing down.
Good for you. We when we had some hospitals in Louisville, they were doing shoots last year. They were fine, but they were staffed by there were some providers of services to childhood cancer families that were, here we go, let me put this in the chat. It's not interactive though, so sorry. Here we go. Did it send? Going? I make big files because I'm also a designer, so forgive my massive megabyte stuff that I always send. The PDF of this is going to be shared too. All right. Okay, did you guys see that? There it is. Okay. So again, just so grateful that everybody spent their time tonight, and I'm excited to like figure out how we can work together and make you know, more smiles, hope, and joy possible for kids, especially in Tucson and in Hawaii. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Lisa, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for telling us all about your program. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you all. And good luck this summer. I'm thinking of you. All right.
Thank you guys for joining in.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye.